Welcome back to the All About You podcast. Today, my guest is Cedric Bertelli, who is an educator for emotional resolution. Cedric, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, Shera. Thank you for having me.
Cedric, I think the first thing we've got to dive into is what exactly is emotional resolution?
Yes, Emotional Resolution, or EmRes, is a methodology that was created by the National Health Institute from the understanding of how the brain constructs debilitating emotional pattern, and with the influence of different researchers, philosophers. In a way, in a nutshell, it is a methodology that we put together in order to resolve emotions that are not congruent anymore with our current reality.
Taking a step back, we spend a lot of time in our heads. We
Correct.
spend a lot of time thinking about the past, what I should have said, what I could have done, etc. We spend a lot of time worrying about the future, what may happen, what may not happen. We're not very good at staying in the present, are we?
It's almost impossible. The brain constantly predicts based on past references. So, our present is constantly influenced by our past. We're never really in the present. If you think about it, we're bringing all the time, constantly our past into it. And from this entire experience, and the thing is, we mostly keep the difficult memories from the past too. From this experience, we're projecting yourself in the future.
Can we begin by talking about some of the issues that people will come to you with and that you help them and give tools that they can use to help themselves in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great question. People come to see us for a wide range of reason. It goes from anxiety to depression to phobia to self-image issues to I am not good enough issues. Lately, we see a lot of burnout. We see a lot of uncontentment. People are not feeling content in their life for no quote unquote good reasons. We see a lot of post-traumatic stress disorder, a lot of CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder. It's basically we see anybody that recognize that they are carrying emotion that toxify their life. We said earlier, we're bringing the past into our present. It is true. And if we do that in a healthy way, we move in life dense, strong from all our experiences. Now, for most of us, we are overwhelmed by past emotions. We are overwhelmed by emotions that come from the past experiences, our past experiences, I should say. And for that, there is emotional resolution, EmRes, so that we can learn intrinsically, I would say, from these past experiences, instead of being constantly overwhelmed by them and reacting from them.
I mean, when you were talking about some of the issues people will come to you with, you particularly mentioned the I'm not good enough. And
Yeah.
I always think this is a great question because people say, oh, I'm not good enough to go for the promotion. Oh, I'm not good enough to ask that person out. Oh, I'm not good enough to start my own business. And I always think, what or who are we measuring ourselves against? Can we talk about this? Because I think this is one that affects absolutely everybody. A lot of people, yes, will suffer with anxiety and depression, but this I'm not good enough, whether it stems from social media that we are bombarded with glamorous pictures of handsome men, beautiful women with the perfect home, the perfect children, the perfect XYZ. Let's go on to I'm not good enough. Let's start there.
I'd love to. I think the I'm not good enough concept is a complete human. As you said, not good enough for what? For whom? I mean, any other species think that they're not good enough? From the moment life runs through us, we obviously are good enough. We're good enough to live. And that's all that matters. this I'm not good enough things stem from different things. It can be, as you said, education. It can be religion. It can be social media. As you said, we constantly compared ourselves to others. We constantly try to please one or the other. Sometimes we build ourselves against something else, against my father, against my mother. It's complex, but we do have across, I would say, at least in the West, I don't know so much about the East, but in the West, this rampant idea, almost guilt that we're not good enough. But not good enough for what? It's a nonsense. And this nonsense is being used to, I guess, maybe by society to push us constantly to pass our own boundary. We feel that we're not good enough, so we're going to do things that we do not agree with, that we're going to do things that we do not want to do. We're trying to prove ourselves or subconsciously others that we are quote unquote good enough. It is a complete nonsense. The main things about EmRes is to accept ourselves, right? It's once we accept ourselves, everything changes. Once we accept ourselves, we can adapt and sure act to try to better ourselves, whatever we like. But then again, what is it to have a better version of ourselves? It's ridiculous. There's no such thing as a better version of ourselves. There's only one version of us, and it's the version we have now. Sure, we can do things to learn, to improve ourselves, to grow, to be curious. But it's in the same paradigm for me. Not being good enough, being the best version of ourselves. No, it's accepting who we are, accepting where we're coming from. I call that the story of the ugly little duckling. You know the story of the ugly little duckling? It was a swan. A lot of us, we were born in dysfunctional families. I think all families are dysfunctional one way or another. So we could say that we were born in a family of ducks, right? And within this family of ducks, a lot of us want to be seen as swan. Parents, our grandparents, maybe to see us as different from them. We want to be different from them. So we think at the core that we are swan when we come from a family of ducks. But the thing is, as long as we don't accept that we come from a family of ducks and we are good ducks and the best duck we can be swan, right? It's accepting where we're coming from, not judging it. Accepting doesn't mean that we like it, but at least we can adapt. And we don't have to be the same duck as our parents were. We can have our own migration journey. But first, we need to accept that we're a duck from a family of duck and we're never going to be swans.
Oh, Cedric, I just love the way you've explained that. Is fantastic because so many things we carry from our parents, and I agree with you, every family is dysfunctional in one form or another. But it's like if your father or mother was good at maths or good at sport or good at languages, we are naturally, as an offspring, expected to be the same. And you may be good at them, but you may hate them. So it's not particularly a route you want to go down. It might be something, well, I find maths really easy, but I just want to be involved in makeup or fashion or cooking. So I
Mhm.
think you've explained that so well in saying, accept who we are, accept from where we have come from, and basically the world is our oyster.
That's right. And then take your own path, right? Your own destiny, make it yours. But first, we got to accept, even if it was a bad childhood, even if we disagree. What I see is often when we build ourselves against our parents or against our family, and that becomes our whole entire world, often it doesn't work out.
That is very true. When somebody comes to you the very first time, so I'm guessing you would have had an initial telephone conversation with somebody to get an idea of what they're dealing with and how they want you to help them. What would a traditional session with you look like? What sort of format would it take?
So during the first conversation, I asked the person if it was one thing we could shift within you, what would that be? That's one way that we can approach it. Another question that I often ask is, how do you want to live, taking in consideration your current ecosystem? your job, your family, your kids, etc. How would you like to live life? Because we're not going to change your ecosystem. Giving your ecosystem, how would you like to experience life? And the client would tell me, well, I like to experience it with more calm, more desire, whatever it is. And then I would ask, currently, what prevents you to feel this way? And that would give us a list of emotions to resolve. It's important for a client when they come to a session to have a clear intention. Again, if we could resolve anything within you, what would that be? Doesn't matter if you carry it for a long time, if you've been carrying it for a long time, or if it's fairly new. What would you like to resolve? The clearer the intention, the more result we will have. Now, this intention, it can be a type of anxiety, it can be not being good enough. That's for me, or for EmRes practitioners, it would be almost an excuse. That's kind of like the tree that hide the forest behind. So of course we will address this difficulty, but emotional difficulties, emotional patterns do not stand alone. In EmRes, we say that emotions are on three different levels: conscious, which is usually the emotion for which people come to see us, not good enough, anxious, etc. Then there is the unconscious. The unconscious are the emotions that we know are here, but we don't like to look at because they do not fit with who we want to be in the world, who we want to put out in the world. So the unconscious emotions will be the shame, the guilt, the self-image things. And then there are the subconscious emotions. The subconscious emotions do not have a name. They're basically tensions. We have those tensions in our life, that in our body, that are not strong enough to be conceptualized as emotion. However, they're going to create a lot of dynamics in our life. For example, if you and I, we meet for the first time, I don't know anything about you, but as I come close to you, I'm sensing tension in my body. And it might be because there's a smell that I don't recognize or remind me the smell of somebody who used to hold me back in the day. It has nothing to do with you at all. But if I come close to you, my brain might recognize something and might feel on my body with tension. These tensions, I'm going to make up a story out of them. I'm going to say, well, I don't know about Shayla. There's nothing to do with you. I feel tension. I make up a story about it, and that's going to create the dynamic of our relationship from the get-go based on absolutely nothing viable. Anyway, all this to say that when people come for a session, we're going to work on three levels of emotion: the conscious, the demand, the unconscious, the emotion often that came out of this emotion, and the subconscious, often the emotion that are underneath the emotion for which they came to see us.
When I asked you what would a typical session look like, the first thing that came to my mind, you are asking the client, what would you like to sort of change in your sort of day-to-day life? The interesting thing is, for me, professionals like you ask the correct questions, because we can marinate things in our head, we can keep going over, but then all of a sudden a professional can say, answer this question, and we're a bit, oh my god, where did that come from? And it's people like you who understand, as you say, the conscious and the unconscious, which we probably don't half the time. We go about our day very much on a bit of an automatic pilot, but you're asking the right questions to really peel back those layers of the onion and go, well, you say this, but during our conversation, I think this is the cause, or this is having an impact, or what about this area of your life? It's you asking the right questions. That, I think, is the secret.
And the question has to be simple because, as you said, I mean, you say most people move from unconscious to subconscious. Yeah, 100% me as well. I think everybody, right? Most of the time we are in autopilot. We do things out of routine, out of beliefs, we are in very few minutes during the day are we really intensely thinking, intensely living. We are often living out of past experiences, routine, etc., etc. The question that we ask are actually very simple, but it allows people to stop and actually think intensely, consciously about it. It doesn't have to be complicated. It's just that we don't take the time to stop and look. And also, a lot of people will tell you got to change your life, but I don't believe in that. We can't change life in a snap, and we have kids, we have families, so given it's important to take things given their ecosystem. again, we got to accept the ecosystem, adapt to the ecosystem, and then build up a desire to change things. But it has to be conscious. It doesn't have to be a slam door and living, whatever we have going. It's like accepting, stop living in a fantasy that anything will change if we don't take action, because that's often the problem, right? We live in an ecosystem, in an environment, and we hope that things will get better. We hope that our partner will change. We hope that we're going to get a promotion at work. We hope, but we don't take very much actions. Hope and fantasy is a recipe for disaster, is a recipe for sadness, for resentment, for resignation. No, let's accept what's happening, adapt, and then find the desire that move us towards something that we want today in our life, which can be very different from what we wanted 5 years ago. Now, if we have fears that block us from taking action, we're not going to do anything. So first we have to find the desire based on what's happening now, and then kind of see what fears block us. And then we resolve them. So there is an actual intensity in action.
Cedric, this isn't going to be resolved for somebody in one session. When you've had that first session, would you hope to have identified through questioning and the conversation what you're dealing with, and then you can say, okay, I think this is what I understand you're dealing with, because you're sort of explaining back to that person, this is what I understand, and they'll say, yes, that's right, or no, not quite. So once you've identified what that is, do you sort of give them a little bit of homework for the following week before they would see you again?
Yes, absolutely. Every time we meet, we are going to resolve between, I would say, 8 and 12 emotions. So meaning there's a problematic, and as I said earlier, a problematic doesn't stand alone. So during the time we're going to spend together 45 minutes to an hour, my wife will say, we're not going to dick around, right? We're gonna work and resolve as many emotions as we can, so that the person feels already different after coming out. So they can come out of the session and notice the difference in their life and starting to put themselves into action. Yes, I might give them some homework, which is I can teach them how to do EmRes, emotional resolution, on themselves, by themselves, from conscious emotions. So I might ask them, between now and next time I see you, number one, notice the difference after our session. In situation I used to be triggered, how are you feeling nowadays? So you can notice and be motivated to change other things. It's important, because you see, with EmRes, once you resolve something, it's not cathartic, right? Something that used to trigger you now doesn't trigger you anymore. So it's not like there is like firework and butterfly where you used to be upset. Now, no, there is nothing. You're neutral. So it's important to check in with the client, because they have to reflect, well, this situation used to happen every day and used to make me afraid or upset. Since the last session, yeah, I didn't feel that way, but it's not a big deal, because it wasn't supposed to be me angry or upset on the first place, you see. So in EmRes, it's important to always check in, so people can look back, reflect, and yes, that used to make me afraid, that used to block me or upset me, and it's not there anymore. That's the difficulty with EmRes. It is not cathartic. Something that used to be there is not there anymore. And people need to pay attention to that, so they can be motivated resolving other things in their life. But to answer your question, homework, yes, I will teach them to do self-EmRes. I mean, from a moment of emotion, how they can take care of themselves and resolve the emotion they're aware of. So I let them go after one session and said, what emotions are you predicting, anticipating to feel between now and next time we see each other? Something that we did not work on. And they say, well, every morning, my 5-year-old is driving me crazy because she doesn't want to put her shoes on, and I'm getting really angry at her, and we're leaving the house, we're upset at each other. I don't want that anymore. Okay, so this is one emotion, not 5, not 10, one emotion. You pick one emotion you're going to live between now and next time I see you, and your homework is going to do your best to resolve it and explain how to do it, and the homework is going to be that. So they have 2 homeworks: noticing the difference after the work we've done together, and most of the time, not always, picking one emotion they accept to resolve and do it by themselves.
I mean, I love that. It's sort of being aware of what is triggering you, how you would normally react to it. For example, with the child not putting the shoes on, you're screaming, you're ranting, the time is going, you're all going to be late, etc. Just being aware of this is what's going to happen probably 5 days a week. This is not great for anybody, the child, for you, anybody in the house. And to have something that I'm aware of it because I'm the grown up here, I'm aware of it. It's not what I want. I need to work on this.
That's it. Take responsibility. Yes, the child might be difficult with the shoes, but the child is also doing that because it triggers you. Often when parents will resolve emotions that they feel, for example, with the shoes, or the kid who doesn't want to eat the veggies or whatever, like we all know these things. Once they resolve the tension, the behavior of the child change. Because tension brings tension. Without even a word. If I'm tense, my daughter sense that I'm tense, her behavior is going to be different than if I was not tense. So we feed out of each other tension.
Cedric, one question I want to ask you. Are most of your clients female, male, or a bit of a mix?
For the longest time, I would say it was 70% female, 30% male. And in the last few months, I'm getting close to 50-50. There are a lot of males that come to see me.
That really gladdens my heart because I've been talking to some healthcare professionals like yourself, and there does seem to be a shift, which I am so happy about because traditionally there's been a lot of help for women, whether that's just going to have a cry with your girlfriends over a glass of wine or a coffee. But for men, it's not so easy. We are experiencing a bit of a shift, and that can only be a good thing. And the fact that you are saying, yes, there has definitely been a shift, because it's so wrong that whether there hasn't been the support for men for them to come forward, or whether men themselves are still a bit like, I've got to be the big tough guy here and I've just got to get on with it. Who knows what's behind it? But the fact that you are saying, and others are saying the same thing, yes, more men are coming forward. Thank God. And I really want to say to
Yes.
you, doing the kind of work you are doing, because it's traditionally not easy for men to talk about emotions, but having people like you where they can come to a safe space and they are coming forward to do that, I think is just fantastic. So gold star, Cedric.
Oh, thank you very much. And I am glad as well. What I can tell you is most men that come to see me are in the 30s. There is definitely a shift with the youngest generation. And they can be musicians, they can be in IT, but most of them are in their 30s. There are some older one as well, and I see teenagers male as well. But I would say yes, the main male population in my practice are in their 30s. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting in itself, and I'm really glad that you say you're getting a lot of younger men because if they are having emotional issues now, but they are taking action to resolve them, they are having help now, not going to carry those issues into their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond.
Absolutely correct. I think people in our, in their 40s and their 50s, 60s, we also had issues in our 20s and 30s, but we were dealing with it differently. I mean, we were keeping them inside. We were using alcohol or other things to quote unquote regulate them. I think there is a shift. I think there is a shift in the younger generation, and I'm glad of it. I'm
Well,
glad
yeah,
about it. Yeah.
I think that's absolutely a brilliant thing. And the more conversations I have with men about emotional issues and talking to professionals like you, I think is just fantastic. So that really, really makes me happy. Cedric, being a healthcare professional, seeing clients sort of most days, How do you keep yourself on an even keel when people are coming to you with their emotional issues? How do you look after your own emotional resilience?
There's few ways, of course. Number one, with EmRes, when we teach EmRes, and I apply it to myself, obviously, we have a positioning that allow us to not be quote unquote sucked in the person's story. Right? We need to be, as a practitioner, as an EmRes practitioner, you need to be able to hear, I would say, the worst things and not mirror it, right? If you mirror somebody's pain, you make it even more real. So you need to be able to have compassion, but remain in attention. You cannot be in empathy, so to speak. If you become too empathetic, if you're sucked in, you lose your, when you plant a tree, and next to the tree, you plant a stake, right? To keep the tree straight. The EmRes practitioner has to be a stake. So we teach our practitioner a specific way to position themselves so they're here and not affected too much by the story or the pain of our clients, and being in a place of compassion without being touching our flesh. But sometimes it's difficult. We hear terrible things sometimes. And even me, as a father, you hear things that happen to a young girl. You hear, you can imagine terrible things. And so what I do is when I hear something and it moved me from my position, stop the session. I say, I need a second. Yes, I often say, what you said just touched me. I just need a second. And I will do a self-awareness on myself. I will resolve the emotion here and there. I will not wait. I used to not do that. I understand it's unethical now. When I hear something that moves me from my positioning, the best positioning I can be in order to help my clients, I resolve it right here and right then. And then I continue. If not, it's not ethical, at least not in my book. And what else do I do? Well, I try to do things that makes me feel joyful, right? I try to spend time with my friends as much as I can, with my kids. I try to go to the gym, spend some time outside. It's nothing specific. It's just being involved in life and take care of myself, take some of my own medicine. When I don't feel well, I take care of this with EmRes. And then, just and not obsessing about work, right? Work is not my passion. When you become passionate about something, you become passive. It sucked you in. Work is not my passion. It is what I do. On the other hand, I'm also a father. I'm a husband. I'm a friend. I'm a son. So there is all this. So not being sucked in by some kind of like life mission.
We have only scratched the surface in our conversation about emotional resilience. Where can people get in touch with you to find out more?
Thank you. They can go to emotionalhealthinstitute.org. It's our main website. They can also go to EmRes, EMRES.com. It is it's going to the same place, and they will learn about our programs, theory behind the work. We're going to put out a study that was done by UCLA. UCLA did a clinical study on EmRes on clinical staff, physicians, nurses, with very high anxiety operating in very stressful environment. The numbers are amazing. So the preliminary result are on the website as well. They will find some case studies there. There's a free book they can download with case studies from past clients, etc., etc. And if they have any question, they can always contact us and we get back in touch with them.
Perfect. And do you have sessions with people online as well?
Personally, it's only online. Most our practitioners are also working online. Some people, of course, see people in person. I don't. I do everything by Zoom.
Okay,
Yeah, so from all
perfect.
around the world. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So, Cedric, I'll include all the links with the podcast. So, before we finished, any pearls of wisdom or any words of advice you'd like to give?
I don't know about wisdom, but what I can say is it doesn't matter for how long you've been feeling an emotional difficulties. It can be years. It doesn't matter if you know why you're feeling that way. What matters is that you recognize that you're feeling an emotion that blocks you, that toxify your life, your relationship, your growth, or whatever it is. Once you recognize that, this can be resolved. Emotions are not some kind of mystical, theoretical thing. We know how they're constructed in the brain. We know that the brain can resolve it. The brain has the natural capacity in humans, just in like any other mammals, to integrate information so we can learn from our experiences, live from our experiences without being overwhelmed by them. So you don't have to believe us. You can be cynical when I say we can resolve emotional difficulties, but by all means, come, try a session and see for yourself.
And I just want to add to that, to anyone who is listening to this podcast or any of the other podcasts I've done about emotions, depression, anxiety, please, please, please do not suffer alone. There are so many fantastic people out there to help you. You don't have to do it face to face. There's everybody around the world is doing stuff online, which is just fantastic. Please do not suffer alone. Help is out there for you. And I think your mental health is just so important. Cedric, thank you so much for sharing the information about emotional resilience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ella. And thank you for giving us a voice, and all the best to you.
Oh, you're very welcome. So I really hope you enjoyed my conversation with Cedric about emotional resilience. I've learned a lot from what he said, and I think he gave us some great examples of how you can be helped. Please, please, please do not suffer on your own. Please get the help that you need to make your life worth living. So thank you for listening to this podcast. It's quite an emotional one, I have to say. And please do share this podcast to anybody you think needs to hear it. And please subscribe for future podcasts on whatever platform you're listening. And if you want to get in touch, please contact me on allaboutyoupodcast@yahoo.com and we'll have a chat. Thank you for listening.